Is he going to kill me? Is he going to kill me? 7 words. I didn't recognize the voice on the other side of the phone, nor did I believe that those words were actually meant for me. And so I was going to do like anyone else would do when they get a phone call that they didn't know about. I was about to say, "I'm sorry, you have the wrong phone number." But all of a sudden, a deep foreboding washed over me, and I could almost feel the panic and terror on the other side of that phone. "Paula!" She said my name. "Is he going to kill me?" I knew that voice. It was my husband's employee. Those 7 words were meant for me. All of a sudden, I looked over on the floor to my 1-year-old boy who was playing with his toys. And the last 4 years of my marriage flashed before my eyes. It was a happy marriage. We had an incredible life. I mean, we just started our family. We had a future all planned out. How did those 7 words connect with that? I was about to say something on the phone when there was a knock at the door. I looked up and I saw the red lights in the front window of my house. And I stepped forward and I picked up my boy and I hugged him tight. And I walked to my front door. I could barely get to the door. And I grabbed the doorknob at that moment. And I knew that whatever was on the other side of that door, as soon as I opened it, my life would be irreversibly changed. Standing in front of me was a police officer. "Ma'am, I have news of your husband. I'm sorry to tell you that your husband has been locked down in a psychiatric ward because he threatened to kill 3 women today." That was the start of days and hours and months of the hardest and most hellish time that I had ever been through. That would be the start of my catalyst moment. You see, I found out that my husband had a psychotic break, and he was later to be diagnosed with bipolar depression and schizophrenia. I loved this man, but I was terrified of this man. I didn't know him. I didn't understand him. I was angry with him. And so in that next year of trying to rebuild my life, as he was sitting in a mental hospital with shock treatments and so many drugs and a shell of the person that I thought I knew, I had to find a way to move forward. So I would often go to my safe place. My safe place was my parents' home. And they'd had a pool in their backyard, and as they watched my son, they thought that I was going to have a nice, relaxing time. But that time in the pool was a time of me wrestling and finding a place of healing. And so I would dive into the deep end and go down into the bottom, and I would scream, and I would cry, and I would let go of the resentment and the anger and the fury that I had that my dreams were dashed and the family that I had planned was going to be no more. And then I would come up for air and I would gasp again, and I would go down to the bottom of that pool over and over again, and I would let it out. And I would just have so much resentment and bitterness and so much, and nobody would know better, and everybody would think that I was okay, because who cares what a little bit of chlorine eyes would show. Until one day I was in that deep end, going up and down, when the sun was shining down and I could see the ripple on the water up above. And you see, reinvention happens in a moment for some and over time for others. But it was in that moment, one word fell upon my heart, and it was hope. And in that moment, I decided, Paula, you know what? It is time for you to live. Your husband might be the person that continues to try and take his life over and over and over again, 9 times, in fact, before he was successful. But it was time for me to live. You see, my friends, when hope shows up, possibilities abound. Where hope lives, so do dreams. And it was on that day, at that moment, that I decided that I could give myself permission to dream big and be bold and use my God-given talents and gifts to make a difference in this world. And I didn't know how that was going to happen, but right here, right now, is the decision that I'm going to make, that I'm going to do this no matter what. And you know what? Where hope prevails is where forgiveness is found. And so I was able to let go, release. And when forgiveness releases, gratitude comes in the midst. And finally, I know that the next time and every time that I have to go to open a door, that no matter the fear that I feel on this side or on the other side, that I am going to boldly open that and have the courage to walk through and take on life one step at a time, because I have hope, I have faith in the good outcomes, and I have the resiliency to handle everything. Thank you.